Hi, here I'm going to show you how to work this agave motif. It is worked over 7 rows, and you do need a yarn that has a little bit longer color repeats, roughly 10 inches. So to get started, when you want to create the motif and you run into your chosen color, you're going to go 2 stitches over and 1 stitch down and pull up, wrap the yarn 3 times and pull that up. If it's a little bit hard to wrap it 3 times, I'll show you another technique when I do the next stitch. But the next stitch, we're going to work all 3 of these stitches together with a center double decrease. So go into 2 stitches as if to knit them together, and then into the back of the stitch, and then pull the stitch through. But we do need this one to be wrapped 3 times also, so I'm going to take the back leg of the stitch and pull it out a little bit and just wrap it around the right hand needle. Just to make that 3 wrap without having to do it right away. And then for the next stitch, we're going to go back into that same stitch that we did the first, pulled up the first loop, and grab it. You can do it with the left needle, or you can kind of scrunch your stitches up and grab it with the right needle. And then I'm going to show you another technique of how to get that stitch too. But that is pulling it up with the right needle, and then again grabbing that back leg and wrapping the yarn around the needle to get those 3 loops. So you should have 3 stitches that are each wrapped 3 times before you move on. Don't worry if you have extra of the color, just keep going. You can adjust your little motifs each time depending on how long your color repeat is, but it doesn't matter if it's a little bit extra long. And here is another way to get into that 3rd stitch. You can just stick your left needle in and then put your right needle in to knit it. And then don't forget to pull up those 3 separate, make sure that it wraps 3 times around the left needle before you move on. You can see in that one my color did run out, but it really doesn't matter. So, all right, then on your next row, the row 2, the 2nd row, you will be purling because this is done in garter stitch, so in the round, so we're knitting a row, purling a row. So when you purl a row, you're going to just slip these 3 stitches and let those wraps unravel, and then just continue purling. So then they look a little long and funky, but they're going to get worked so that it won't be an issue. Okay, when you're on the 3rd row, you're going to knit up to 1 stitch before and then switch places with that stitch. So I just act like I'm knitting 2 together and then go back and knit that stitch. And then slip the middle stitch, and then we're going to switch places with this 3rd stitch too. But we have to find the stitch that's after it and knit it, and then slip the stitch that's the long loop stitch. So now you have the stitches spaced every other, and then just keep knitting. On the 4th row, we're purling, so on the purls we just always, the purl row is kind of like a rest row, so you'll always just purl, slip the stitch with the yarn in back, and then keep purling. So no matter what happens, purls, you just slip those funky looking stitches and then keep on going. And don't worry about your yarn color. You don't have to work a motif every time you see that chosen color, just when it is convenient and it spaces out correctly. All right, so then when you come to a row 5, you'll notice it because you'll have a stitch in between your long stitches and you'll be on a knit row. So in that case, we're going to again switch those 2 stitches, but this time we're going to knit this long stitch in place by just twisting it as many times as you want, just depending on how you want it to look. If you want it more twisty, then twist it more, and then knit it. And then just knit 2 stitches. And now we're going to slip the middle stitch because we want it to rise up a little bit more. Knit a stitch, and then again we're going to switch places. So I had to knit that other stitch first before I get to my long stitch, and now I'm going to twist that long stitch again as many times as you want, and then knit into it. I did twist mine in opposite directions, so twisted one direction. If it doesn't look right, just undo it, and yeah, I like to just make them look a little bit even. But then when you get to row 6, again, it's just a purl row, but this time 2 of the stitches in the motif are already fixed. So those stitches are just normal, just purl them like regular. But when you get to that middle stitch, you do need to slip it with the yarn in back. And then continue on. All right, just one more row here to work this motif. So when you're on a row 7, then you'll see we want to knit this middle stitch into place, and it will complete our agave motif. So twist it as many times as you want, whichever direction you want, and try not to split the yarn like that. But go ahead and twist that stitch as many times as you want, and then knit it into place. And like I said, don't worry too much about if your color comes up at a place that's not convenient, then just keep going. But whenever you want to work those motifs, get it started and then work it for the next 7 rows. And here's what it will look like. Thanks.